Are you ready? What?
What's up, buddy?
You're here. I can't believe it.
I am here.
Who is this guy?
At least for a week. What the hell? Lots of travel, man. You know how it goes. I get busy in the fall. I avoid you like the plague, and
you do.
You know, it's
why is that? That's what I want to know.
It's a win on all levels for me, to be honest with you. But yeah, it's all good.
Cheers, everybody! It's Tuesday night. We've got a really special guest. I mean, listen. Back in July, was it July? It was July, right?
It was July. Yes.
When we went out to Kentucky with Shared Pour, the whole group who went down to, Lux Row and did that. And then the next day got up and traveled for an hour and a half to Lawrenceburg, Indiana, and met Ian at MGP. And wow, that was something else. So we're really happy to have Ian on tonight with us to really talk about that experience and sort of everything that he's doing there and have fun with him like we do with all our guests, right?
Yeah. So, to bring people back, we talked about this a long time ago. We have a bunch of barrels coming out that are going to be a lot of fun. They're going to be released coming up actually at the end of 2024, possibly spilling into the early part of 25. But yeah, there's a lot of great YouTube channels and influencers out there. We had a really, really good time. Got to meet a lot of people. We've showed you some of those pictures. We're going to show you a few more tonight.
Yeah.
And then we're going to bring Ian on because nice guy and got a kick-ass job. Cool things to talk about.
Cool dude.
Fellow AFC North guy, but maybe on the wrong side
of
things. We have some stuff to talk to him about tonight, but it'll be a blast. But
What's
yeah,
up,
so for those of you out there, honestly, like, share,
yes,
have your friends come in.
Come on, let's get in here.
They're gonna want to hear a little bit about this. This will be fun time.
Because I guarantee you, we're gonna ask a question to Ian that he's never been asked before, and it's not because it's whiskey.
Don't scare him. He's going to leave.
No, it's going to be fun. It's all fun. You guys know how we do this with our guests. Hell, we had Greg Metz on 2 years ago, who also, before, Ann took over, was there with Ann as the master distiller. So we had him talking about, I think, with Metallica, I believe.
That might be coming up too. That's right.
Which was funny. Never thought he would say he was a huge Metallica fan. Did not expect that to come out of his mouth.
Greg rocks.
I know, but that was fun.
What would you peg him for? Bluegrass, Todd?
I don't know.
Very stereotypical.
No, I didn't. You said that, not me. I didn't say that.
People look at you and might think Moby.
Do you guys remember that?
Smashing Pumpkins.
That's very stereotypical. Just because I'm pale and bald and have glasses. I think I'm more Scott Van Pelt than anything. That's what I would take. Scott Van. Plus, he went to Maryland, and I went.
Try to gravitate towards the one bald guy that wasn't doing something that was odd. That's fine.
He also went to College Park. I went to College Park, and he's cool and has a show. And I'd like to be cool and have a show. So I think they're very much similar.
Well, you've done one of those two things. You have a show. Congratulations on that.
It's true.
Anyway, for those of you who, we actually haven't shown this yet. We're going to show a little bit of a intro. We're kind of recapping our trip to Indiana, which was a blast, and then we are very honored to have Ian Stirsman from Ross and Squibb, the head distiller, to come on tonight and share some stories, some samples, and some other fun stuff. So yeah, so I'm excited. So I'm gonna
play this
stage,
boy.
Man. Let's play this now. Here we go. This is a blast, dude.
So much fun.
Well, rock and roll, buddy.
Look at that. You want that? When did you write that? When did you write that?
It was at the hotel, actually. All right, so let's remove that. Without further ado, Mr. Ian Stirsman from.
Wait, hold on.
Go ahead, Todd. Hit your
on,
applause button. He's trying to figure it out.
There we go, everybody.
What's going on, man? How are you?
Ian Stirsman, how are you,
Pretty
brother?
good.
Goes on for a while.
Good. Thanks for having me on. That's the biggest applause I've ever had. So
I'll take it, Andrew.
We have to do our own sound effects, or we would get applauses either.
No, that's exactly right. Yeah, we piped that in. Well, how are you, man? Thanks for coming on, and hopefully that video. It was fun to see that again because that was really a for us a really special day. And I know you're there every day, and that's sort of your life. But I know not a lot of people get that experience. So thank you for letting us in there and sort of just seeing that operation, that scale. It was really amazing.
Yeah, no, I'm there every day, but it's not very often I get to show outsiders around. So it was a lot of fun for me as well. We like to show off what we do there as well. And yeah, it was a lot of fun. Watching the video made me realize I talk with my hands way too much, though.
No, that's all right.
A little chubby for my pants.
Well, at least
Speaking of which, at least you had the proper ones.
So yeah, I went to Kentucky in the middle of July, not thinking I needed pants, because we were just drinking whiskey and going to, I thought, just regular distilleries. MGP's not a regular distillery. You have to wear pants. So I was wearing Matt's from Lux Rose, his pants that he had extra, his jeans, thankfully, because I had zero pants. We found this out 11:30 at night before we went.
We went to the dinner the night before we went to see you, Ian, and literally it's 11 o'clock at night, and one of the guys says, you have to wear long pants to go to.
I think
MGP.
it was Monday night too. It was a Monday night, right?
Yeah, and we've all had a couple drinks. We're like, this is like we're all going to bed.
I'm like, I don't have any pants.
Oh, the hell. So he goes out in the middle of Louisville trying to find like
something open to get pants.
Walmart or something to find pants. Ends up snagging a pair from. Yeah, but it was kind of funny. So I was hoping they'd be like mom jeans or like some.
No, I think I made them look good.
Or
some,
some.
Too big for me. We'll talk. We have actually Matt on next week. Matt's coming on next week to talk about the other half of our trip. So I'll thank him again for letting me use his pants. Hopefully he didn't burn them, I guess. I don't know. Maybe he did.
Yeah, I'm sure they're
because it was hot that day too, man.
Yeah, it was a little toasty. It's hot at MGP too. All right. So you know what? We'll stop talking. We'll make you uncomfortable, put the spotlight on you. For those who don't know you or what you do, we're going to let you introduce yourself and kind of talk about a little bit about who you are, what you do, and what a kick-ass job you have.
No doubt.
Hi, so I'm Ian Stirsman. I am the master distiller at MGP's Ross and Squibb distillery. So that's the big Indiana distillery you think about when you think of MGP. And I am extremely lucky. I do have a pretty kick-ass job that
yes, you do.
I really like. And I got into it. I've been there almost 11 years now, and really kind of fell into the industry. I grew up in Dayton, Ohio, so I don't know, maybe an hour and a half from the distillery. Never knew it was there. Went to school at OU for chemical engineering. I had a minor in biology. And at OU, I was in like a homebrew club. I liked brewing beer, but I never really thought about whiskey. Got out of school in 2010, and the job market still wasn't great from the 2008 crash. And I worked at a paper mill for a few years, and I was looking around a little bit, and a recruiter called me about a distillery I'd never heard of down close to Cincinnati. And I kind of jumped at the opportunity because, for one,
were you into whiskey? Were you into whiskey at that point?
No, I wasn't at all.
No.
No, and I wasn't into whiskey at all. I just thought, I always wanted to brew beer, and I thought, it'd be cool to make whiskey, a lot cooler than making paper. And
Dunder Mifflin. Yeah, there you go. Dunder Mifflin.
And the other part of the equation was really, it was, Cincinnati was closer to home for me, and I wanted to get back closer to home. So went down. I started off as a shift manager. Like you guys said, Greg Metz was the master distiller at the time. I started as a shift manager, kind of managing the off shift nights. I rotated nights and days, learned a lot under Greg, became a process engineer after about a year. And then they created a job for me and another gentleman because there wasn't a lot of experience after Greg. on the technical side of the distillery. So me and another gentleman started a job. We were called the fermentation distillation managers, and we moved around the distillery, managed each area a couple years at a time. So I managed our dry house boiler house for a couple years, our fermentation yeast prop for a couple years, our whiskey distillation for a couple years. And then Greg moved on. We had another guy come in who was a longtime industry vet, Gordon Working. Learned a lot from him. And then when Gordon retired, we went to kind of a master distiller by committee approach. There was 3 of us that were kind of the master distillers by committee. And a lot of that was because our distillery is really, really complex, like more complex than others. Because
that's an understatement.
because we do more for a large distillery than other distilleries do. We make vodka, we make gin, we make light whiskey, we make rye whiskey, we make many different mash bills of bourbon. We do it all. So we went to this like master distiller by committee approach. And then after we acquired Luxco a few years ago, we really wanted kind of one person to have the creative control over our brands. And that's when I stepped into the role that I'm in now. So still part of that like technical expertise team at the distillery, but then really, over all of our new product development and everything that goes into our own brands, making sure that, we're putting out the highest quality stuff under our own brands.
So how long have you then in total been at MGP or whatever it's called now? How long have you been there? Because you've really moved up. I mean, you've kind of moved up sequentially to where you are now.
It'll be 11 years in January.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's cool to work from the ground up though. Like just really learn the business inside now. So when you're there, you're ready to.
There's somebody, and you had zero. You were a home brewer, like so. It's like you're saying, like you were doing me and Andy doing on a 5-gallon sort of mash. We don't even have electric brewing. We're doing it through the old, gravity way, where we're not even using pumps. We're using it really old school, and I think we still make pretty kick-ass beer. But is that all? So you had zero distilling experience. You were just a home brewer, and really weren't even into drinking like crap, like good whiskey. I assume, right? That's amazing.
Yeah. No, I wasn't into it. I mean, I had the chemical engineering background, and that's kind of what they're looking for. I had experience as shift manager in the paper mill.
Okay.
So that's kind of what they were looking for. But before I actually started, I went to a bar in my hometown in Dayton, the Century Bar, which is it's a really cool whiskey bar, especially for Dayton. And I talked to the bartender, was like super knowledgeable, and I was telling him about this. I got this job at MGP, and his eyes lit up, and he was like so excited. And I was like, what? Why are you excited about this job? And he had me taste a bunch of like really good MGP. That this was back obviously before we had Remus and Rossville and our own brands. It was back when we were just doing contract distilling, and he had me taste a bunch of some of our customer stuff that was really good, and I instantly fell in love with whiskey. But before I got the job, I really hadn't even dipped my toes into it.
Do you find out how distilling's now? And we walked into that one room when we were on the tour, and I mean, you had a massive we couldn't film. This is the one where we walked in. There was computers everywhere. There's people on those computers. Do you feel it's connected to sort of it? Help me understand how distilling has changed, even at MGP, from when you started to where you are now, or is it still the same? I guess that's my question. The process.
The process has changed a lot over the last 11 years. I mean, to me, because I've seen all the changes. I've been a part of a lot of the changes, but from like a 1,000 feet up perspective, it hasn't changed a lot.
Okay.
I mean, all that instrumentation was there when I started.
Got it.
Or at least a lot of it was.
Okay.
I don't think it makes you feel less connected because to me, especially with the engineering background, I almost feel more connected with all that because
right.
I can log on, I
More
can get on my
information.
laptop right now and look at everything that's going on in the distillery.
So more data. You must love
yeah,
that. Yeah,
we know more about what's happening than ever, right? So I almost feel more connected, even though maybe it's not as like touchy feely, hands on anymore.
That is cool. So speaking of which, Paul P has a question for you. He says, "What's a bad day at the office look like for you? Would it only be sampling a couple barrels versus?" I'm sure there's that allure. Of
I bet you he's had some bad days.
But what's what does a typical day look like? Because from our perspective, we left impressed with the amount that you guys have to cover. Just the volume. I don't think it's even that video we showed. I don't think people understand how massive the site is and how much you actually have to control. So, yeah, walk us through like a day. Good, bad, and different.
Yeah, what is a bad day? Jeez, I don't know if we want to know.
Well, a bad day, I can tell you about a couple bad days. Probably, man, the first probably month or two I was there, I was on shift and we caught the dryer house. We had a fire in the dryer house, so that was a bad day. Luckily, our response was really good. There wasn't too much damage. The local fire department showed up. I mean, I don't even know how many fire trucks were there within 5 minutes of us calling out, but and then our internal emergency response team did a really good job as well. But that was probably one of the most stressful days I've had there, especially because I was so new. But there, there's rough days. I mean, the distillery has been around since 1847, but most of it was built in the 30s by Seagrams. The parts were still running, and you have equipment that old and on the scale of what we're doing. I mean, you're going to have failures on a daily basis, small failures, but there's definitely stressful days trying to keep old equipment like that running.
And there's not a playbook. There's probably not a lot of people who can go in and just fix that either, because I mean, there's not a lot of it out there. I mean, people actually, I forget who I was talking to when we were out there, that said you couldn't build a site like this today. Like it just wouldn't happen. Yeah. So the expertise, it's almost like owning like the world's coolest old car lot, but knowing there's only a handful of people who can actually work on them. So it's really unique, especially for such a massive scale.
What's funny,
really
and
cool.
We're here in Baltimore, and Seagram's had a plant out here as well in Baltimore, which I guess was taken over by
eventually Colt 45, and then eventually Guinness
rolled in there, and they have a production facility which they actually just shut down. There was the only U.S. production facility in the same, and it's the same structure. It's those sort of brick, huge column warehouses that were just outside of Baltimore. And that's where they were, for Seagram's, doing all their, I guess, housing and distillation there for a while there, at least. Anyway, real quick, Mark Emaneker says a bad day is when you have to lead a couple of YouTube pants on a tour. That would be us. So
that makes a little bit of sense.
Oh gosh, you're good.
Should we?
I think I've already started drinking, but one of the things we want to highlight, Ian, is everyone I think is really every year you put out the Remus repeal, and we have 8 here. So thank you for sending us that, because I still have not seen it here drop in Maryland. It's out now, right? It should be hitting shelves nationwide, correct?
Yes. Yeah. It, every state is different. We, how long the distributors hold on to things when we ship to the distributors. So every state is different, but it's definitely on shelves in a lot of markets already.
Okay.
Yeah. I love this release every year. I look forward to it. I think I drank through 1 and 2 are gone, but I have 3 through, I think I have up until here. I have.
And everybody says 5. 5 was the anniversary batch, right? I mean, you used really old. Is that correct? Did I hear that correctly? That 5 was a sort of a celebration, or is that wrong?
No, that's like what a lot of people have taken from it. I don't know that was necessarily intentional.
See, glad I cleared that up then.
Yeah. Yeah, a lot, but that is that's widely. I've heard that a lot. But
Okay,
no, not
I drank
necessarily
all. Do you still
intentional.
have 5? My 5 is gone.
I do still have 5.
Oh, that's
Yep.
good. We have to do it so this is 8. Tell us a little bit about 8.
What makes this special? What
Yeah.
makes this release special? Because this
Oh.
is the first time I think I was introduced to just the Ross and Squibb kind of MGP released on its own,
good
which
point.
I fell in love with it. And I was like, gosh, this is fantastic. Brought it to Todd, and we have been sipping on them ever since.
Yeah.
So what is it about this Remus repeal that stands out so much?
I mean, I think what makes this special is really, there's a lot of our whiskey out there, right? We make the whiskey for so many different brands, but this is really like our chance to show off the best of what we do. And it's probably, I mean, you probably heard me say this before, but it's probably the most fun part of my job every year. Cause
I bet.
we just, there's really no constraints. Like we haven't made it a 10-year-old or a 9-year-old or, whatever. We haven't put an age statement on it. It's different every single year. It's going to be a different blend every year. So far, we've only used, our 2 kind of oldest bourbon mash bills, our LESV and our LBSV, which is our 21% rye bourbon, our 36% rye. But that's not set in stone either. So it's nice. It's kind of just like get together with our master blender and we come up with something new every year. So it's a lot of fun to make. The Remus brand and the Rossville brand as well. I mean, our brands are still pretty small for how massive our distillery is. So like me and our master blender have a pretty easy job when it comes to this kind of thing because we have so many barrels to pick from and it's really not that big of a release. So
Who is your master blender? Who is that?
So it's actually just recently changed. So Sam Schmelzer was with us for a very long time,
right?
And he recently left, kind of go out on his own, do his own thing. He's doing some consulting.
Yep.
And RJ Laws is our new master blender. So he has been at the company. I want to say like 14 years. He was there a few years before I got there. So he's been there a long time. He's worked with Sam in our quality department for a very long time, and he does a really good job. So I'm excited to get to work with him more. I mean, I've been working with Sam on these releases for quite a few years, but
so you're pulling barrels for this blend. Are you helping with the blend? Are you giving input? Like, how does the blending like? Is it a team of people that kind of have the final say? I know, how's that work for the
it's changed a little bit over the years. So it kind of started out with, I leaned really heavily on Sam because most of my expertise was in the distillery where he'd been blending, his whole career. So I really leaned really heavily on him in the beginning. And then, we collaborated heavily. I took more on as we went. And then, now, I mean, with RJ, I think it'll be the same thing. I'll probably, be taking a little bit more of the lead now. But yeah, it's just a collaboration. And we, it's just a collaboration.
That's fun.
We work together.
Yeah. Are you making more of this every year? The same? Has it gone down in volume? Like, so Corey, CJP Bourbon says, if you've yet to see it out in the wild in Oregon, they go so quick when they get here. We know that's sort of limited. There's not a lot of this out here, but are you making the same amount every year? Is it change depending on the blend? How does that go into the determination of how much the yield is, I guess?
Different years will yield a little different, but it's pretty similar case volume every year. Yeah.
Okay. Gotcha.
We also had a question earlier too. Tim asked, because MGP produces so much product, do they use mostly locally sourced corn and grains, and do they import their barley?
That's a good question. So we mostly do use locally sourced corn. Our rye mostly comes from Germany and Sweden. So we're the largest importer of rye in North America. The barley is a blend. It comes from both kind of the northern, middle northern United states as well as southern Canada too. So
Real quick,
and we saw the old train, which is kind of cool, that comes in and out. I forgot to put that in the video, but that was really cool. There's a train that comes in, delivers the grains, and goes out once a day, comes in and out. Just, I mean, that whole operation was just wickedly cool to be able to see and be there in person. Was really fun.
So let's talk about this blend. So and Tony from Baker Drinks will be on Troy, I'm sorry, will be on his show Saturday, by the way, guys. So if you want to check out Baker Drinks, Saturday will be their guest on there at 9 p.m. Eastern. Will be on. Anyway, Hyper Age distillate back. So we do have 9% of this blend is 17-year-old of that 21% rye. What's the acronym for the 21% rye mash bill? What is that again? I gotta learn this.
LESV.
LESV, and then it's got 24, about a quarter of a 10-year of that same LESV, and then 2/3 is still 10-year of the 36% rye, which is, what's the acronym for that? 36?
LBSV.
LBSV. So I gotta work on that. So there, I mean, listen, you're talking, it's a $99 MSRP, 10-year age statement. It's got 17-year, and I think you can taste it. So let's get into tasting this a little bit. Andy, this is the first time you're drinking it. I've drank a quarter of the bottle already.
So Ian, you're very smart. Obviously,
yes.
You go to school, engineer, the whole 9 yards. Yeah. Todd's pretending. He's trying very hard to get technical. I am not. I just want to taste it. So let's
cheers, Ann. Thank you for sending this. Yeah, is anybody out there have this yet? I'm curious. Have you tried it? Like Bourbon Whiskey Uncensored. Have you tried Remus 8? Curious what you think about it. While we're drinking this, George did have a question. Yes. So doesn't MGP own Penelope now? Yes. So they're all under the Lux Row.
Yeah, boy, did we try some good Penelope stuff too.
So we'll have
their latest
Matt next year. Yeah.
That is one of the barrels coming out. Is we do have a Penelope Rosé single barrel, which is coming out, which is absolutely fantastic. Much higher proof than their first iteration, which was really cool. And it was a blend of different rosé barrels.
Yeah. It's cask strength.
Thank you, Edward. Yeah. But what I'm saying is the nice thing is that was a blend of different barrels. They use 100% Grenache barrels for the rosé on this one, and it's killer difference with the proof and just a single barrel. It's just beautiful.
All right, so back to Rossville. On the nose, I get a lot of cherry on this. Sweet oak. You get some of that MGP citrus too, I think. To me, like honey, it's a very sweet, syrupy nose to me, and I hate use the word syrupy on nose, but I use it a lot when I get that sort of, I don't know, deep sort of sweet note on the nose. What do you get?
You're fast. I mean, give me a second.
Yeah, and then I know everybody gets something different. Listen, everybody's palate's different. That's just what I get. That's all. I think it's a great nose. I do get some of that sweet oak. I mean, you can. Oh God, that's beautiful. What do you get, Ann? Curious.
So
completely
interestingly, a lot of times I get like a lot of like leather and tobacco on the nose, but today it's like almost all cherry for me. It is the syrupy is a good descriptor, but it is like all cherry for me today. I don't know. I just had dinner right before, and I smoked some brisket over the weekend, and I had leftovers. So I don't know if it's just what I ate, but I'm not getting as much of that leather and tobacco as I typically get. It's more of like that cherry is really shining through.
And then you just said that. Yeah, I think Ben said though. The question is What does is there? Oh,
what?
Sorry, I read that wrong. Okay. But anyway, there's this question.
Is there a public key to MGP mash bills and yeast? Oh, so like what you were just talking about. Is there somewhere where you can learn what all those acronyms are for your various mash bills, or no? It's kind of just in house. You were giving us the whole iteration on the yeast strains as well, and as well as the mash bills, what the acronyms are. I don't think you can go and find that, can you?
I don't know that it's on like the internet anywhere. But it's the old Seagrams. We call them the legacy codes. So under Seagrams, they had several facilities, and the first letter was always the facility, the location. So
got it.
Our distillery is L for Lawrenceburg, Indiana. Then that second letter is the mash bill. So that's the proportion of the grains. Our E is our 21% rye. Our B is our 36% rye. The 95.5 is Q. So that's our LQSV. Then the third letter is just a distillation method, typical, beer still to doubler. American bourbon, American whiskey distillation. And then the last letter is the yeast. So, yeah, we almost exclusively use the V yeast strain from Seagram's, but we have some others as well.
And we saw that whole propagation sort of room for your yeast cultures and stuff like that. Man, that was something else right there. That is,
it's impressive too how
well
locked and key it is too, because of how you have to be careful, like that nothing goes wrong, because it's not like
as homebrewers, we know how important. I think the yeast strains sometimes get lost in whiskey because everybody talks about sort of mash bills or the barrel imparting so much flavor, and in brewing, yeast is one of the, I think, the most important aspects of getting really good beer to come out, right? So how not only how you're propagating your yeast and how the temperature it's at and how it works in the environment
dictates that flavor profile.
Exactly, big time. We did contests with different yeast
the
strains.
layman terms, if you're looking for a style of beer, the yeast strain will dictate how that rolls. Right. Much more so than the hops and sometimes even the malts, which is kind of interesting.
Yeah.
They all play a key, but so the same thing in whiskey, which is great. This is a really beautiful.
Yeah, you've had like 3 pours. I know you're liking this. So I get that cherry syrup up front. I get big time dark fruits on it too.
See, I think it's more. I'm more on the darker fruit side.
Yeah,
it's not a sweet cherry,
dark
by
cherry
by any means. It's
no, I didn't say it. Raisins and dark fruits.
I'm not saying you're wrong.
Sweet oak.
Take a breath.
Honey,
just breathe, Todd. But no, I think the age comes through on this too, which I really like. I do get some of those leather notes. I think that are kind of cool, and you can tell it's got some older stock in here. I love the proof point's perfect at 101.
It went up by 1 point, right?
Think,
why is that? What did we go to 101 for this year? Just how it came out.
No, really, we like. I mean, I kind of thought it was silly to do 100 proof every year. I was like, we should finalize the blend and then taste it, at different proofs.
Okay.
And we blinded it because I mean, I like to do everything blind. Just, we have good sensory practices about everything we do. And then we picked out 101, which was kind of boring because it's one proof off of what we've done in the past. But
I think it's fun because everybody said, "Oh, it's 101 now." Oh, that's different. Something's I kind of but there was really no rhyme or reason. You were on Dusty Dan's last month, and when I was watching that, you mentioned about the sensory panels. And, he talked about palates and, yes, palates are important, but you made a comment that you have your sensory panels and, you have that everyone's trying to find that one flaw in a bourbon. And it might be one person who finds something that 5,000 other people can't even taste. And you're like, I don't care about that then, because you're the one person out of 5,000. No one can taste that flaw. So some people kind of go too much on the sort of the palates and the sensory panels. How do you do that? You're putting out so much juice. How is that process? With your sensory panels and making sure it's consistent and you're not having those flaws.
Yeah. So yeah, thanks for listening to that, by the way.
No worries.
But yeah, like if that one person out there that can smell something that no one else can is really not that important, right? Because nobody else, you want your palate to be aligned with as many other people as possible. I guess is like the best palate if there's a best palate.
Right.
But with the sensory practices, it's difficult because what you're really trying to do is to take the human out of it, right? Like you're trying to create a process that you can interchange people in and still get the same results, right? So
got it.
So you're trying to do it blind. A lot of triangle testing, a lot of ideally double blind thing. But it's difficult because you do want everybody's gonna have different descriptors. So like to some degree, you want to get people speaking the same language. So we do train on like, okay, we'll take our standard and we'll spike it with known concentrations of different congeners that are either defects or good congeners, and then we'll kind of, okay, that this is must. This is, like, so then at least we're all kind of talking the same language.
Got it.
And then we can kind of start to quantify and create some data around descriptors as well.
That's good. So for those who don't know what congeners are, can you explain that to
Did you say that? Did you say that right?
Congener.
Congeners. They're just, it's the different, the different chemicals that are created by the yeast and through fermentation that are aromatic and that create the flavors and the aromas that you experience when you drink the bourbon.
Smart man. There you go. Question for you, congeners. And what has given you pause or scare with newer flavor profiles of consumers as finished products have expanded to try to meet the demand? So is there anything out there that you're like, oh, we'll never, I guess he's asking, like, what is out there that you've seen been done that maybe you're kind of scared that you'll have to maybe put out, I guess. I don't know. Is there something out there that scares you or gives you pause?
Not really. I mean, we kind of stay, so far with our brands, we've stayed just kind of true to who we are. We haven't chased a lot of the fads. I mean, if we think something's interesting, we'll give it a try. But if we're not into what other people are doing, we're not gonna follow them.
There's a good saying that if you're making everybody happy, you're doing something wrong. So
are you guys finishing?
I like that.
Do you finish anything on site? Do you have finishing barrels that are like aging away, or no? That you guys don't have any of that in terms of
very little. We have done some finishing for customers. We've done some of that, but now a lot of that will actually go on. We have other facilities within Luxco where we'll we can potentially like ship barrels to our other facilities and do it there, secondary finishes and things like that.
And there's the great Dusty Dan. I just talked about when you were on his show last month. He's just saying, hello, Ann. It's a pleasure to be on your show. Yeah, that was a great interview. If you haven't seen that, go back to Dan's show. And I was watching that live, and that's where I picked up that sensory. I thought it was really interesting when you talked about that on the show, amongst other things. But George has another question as well in terms of Sagamore. They're right down the road from us. They're literally like 7 miles from our house. So we're big fans. They just put out the 9-year, which is the mix of the MGP, high rye, low rye, and it's amazing, by the way. I can't wait for you to try it. I just got it. Is MGP using the same mash blend anywhere else now? Like, so I guess they blend your 95.5 and 51% rye. Is anybody else doing that? Like they're doing? Or they were doing? I know they're going to their own distillate now, but they still put out your stuff.
So
no.
Is it or Ian?
I don't know. He just froze. Do you guys see this or do I see this? Oh,
am I back?
He froze. Well, we can hear you. You just froze. There you are. You're back. You're back.
Sorry about that.
No worries.
I can't really speak to our customers' brands.
There you go. That makes sense. I get that.
Yeah, we have NDAs with some of them. We don't with most of them. But instead of me remembering who we have NDAs with, who we don't, we just don't talk about it. And the other part of it is really just that once they buy the whiskey from us and create something, that's their story to tell, not ours.
I think though their use early on of that sort of high rye, low rye mash bill blend, it obviously worked for them. I mean, they to me have
it's worked for a lot of our favorites.
Yeah, I mean, it's really worked. It's really worked. So
it is funny when I first got into whiskey drinking, I got in just a little bit before Todd did, and I remember there was a time when MGP didn't have the reputation it does now, where people were like, oh, that's MGP. That's not, and people got a little bit kind of pretentious about it. And it seemed almost overnight, everyone wanted it. So I'm wondering, because you clearly went through that. Did you see that point where it went from, okay, we want everything to be in-house with our own juice to sourcing now, as long as it's good whiskey, is fantastic. And then you just saw this massive spike. I mean, did you see the industry change, and how did that affect what you were doing from a volume perspective?
So pretty much from the time I started, there was always the demand there for our whiskey. So whether or not the consumer kind of perspective of us changed, like people were after buying our whiskey. So we were always really, focused on becoming more efficient, producing more whiskey. I mean, we've been running, running as fast as we can since I got here. And now that as fast as we can has changed a lot. Obviously we've figured out ways to be more efficient, and really ways to be more efficient, but increase our quality at the same time, just to standardize the process. We're looking at more parts of the process more closely than we ever have before. So yeah, I mean, from the time I started, I mean, our mission's always been to, how can we, make more, make better, I mean, quality is number one, but we were always,
I just remember that public perception shift, which just was a game changer, and not just for probably for you all, but also for upstart distilleries who needed to put out
I will say
some really good stuff.
Bourbon or Whiskey Uncensored, he's in the chat. He's got his own channel. He is a huge fan of MGP rye, especially. So he hunts those older stock barrels. Anybody that he can see has those older MGP rye barrels or bottles that are out there, he loves. So real quick question from Frank. Andy, I think we have a couple fun questions for Ian next. So tee those up. But Frank wants to know, Ian, with your technology background, you're engineer, how much feel do you personally use to get the finished product? So, you're very, analytical, you have that background, but it's still a bit of an art form, right? I mean, and like brewing, home brewing, there is a lot of science and data that goes into it. And you have to be very meticulous, but it still is a bit of a feel and art to brewing beer. It's the same thing, even in your scope at MGP as Master Distiller. Do you still have that sort of feel to personally use to get the finished product, or no?
Yeah, I mean, you're still using your senses. I mean, obviously, we do sensory analysis on every tank of distillate that comes off. I mean, that's your nose is more sensitive to a lot of the congeners we're looking for than any GC out there, right? So like your nose is really the final decider. Your nose and your taste is the final decider. We do GC on all of our distillates, but it's really just kind of a nice to have, a little, it gives us some extra information, but no, that is all feel. I mean, that's all sensory. I mean, when you go into the fermenter rooms, you're picking up on smells. So that's a lot of feel with that too. But then, for most of the process, we're really looking at the data, at the instrumentation. And
so what you're saying is analytics are important, but you got to have that gut instinct as well. So if I were to relate that to, let's say, the Baltimore Orioles and Brandon Hyde, our manager, who does everything analytics and completely pisses me off because he's got no gut instinct whatsoever.
Here we go, Ann.
Just give me a second.
Are you a baseball fan, Ann?
That shows why you have to have some sort of gut instinct when you're in any type of process. It can't all be 100% analytical.
God,
I'm done for now.
Anyway, there's a good question from Anthony Peters. He wants to know, for you, Ann, what proof do you like your whiskey to drink? Like, so if you could have your druthers, and he loves that word when I say it,
because for people in their 80s,
is there a certain proof point? We always say for us, like 115 to 120 really hones in for, I think. But hell, sometimes a 130, 140 can give it to you. But is there a proof point, or is whiskey just good where it's at? Like depending on what it is.
It just totally depends on what it is. And I think people get too caught up in proof. And one of the things they don't realize is that, like, the absolute proof, like the proof you read on the bottle, doesn't really mean that much.
Why so?
Because, so like, what proof did it go into the barrel? What proof did it go into the barrel?
Right.
What proof did it come out of the barrel? And then, so, I mean, if you had something that went into the barrel at 125 and came out of the barrel at 140, and it was 110, and then bottled at 110 proof,
Right. Yeah.
quite a bit of water has been added to that, right?
Sure.
But if you had something that went into the barrel at 115 and came out of the barrel at 110 and was bottled at 110, no water was added. It's barrel proof. I mean, it's
right. Yeah, that makes sense.
Like, so the absolute proof, I don't pay too much attention to. I mean, I don't drink a lot of like 80 proof whiskey, but because that's probably a lot of water's been added. But
right.
But it's all how much water was added. Are you getting the full flavor of the whiskey, and do you like the full flavor of the whiskey? Do you like some water added? I mean, obviously, you get different flavors when you add water as well. So
sure.
I think every whiskey is different. I don't shop when I'm looking, when I'm trying things. I don't shop by proof.
I think when we were we were doing our barrel picks back in July, you gave us a sample of this Remus 8, an early look at it, and then you gave us, I thought you gave us the cast strength portion of it, uncut. I think we didn't. I think we said the cut version was better. It just had a more flavorful profile. Didn't lose any of the viscosity. That's another thing I want to say about this. At 101 proof, it says really nice viscosity to it.
No, there are often times, and we talked to I think it was Nancy Fraley who was telling us. She said sometimes if the proof is too high, it can mask deficiencies in the whiskey. Now that being said, sometimes whiskeys are just so good when they're really, really high. Like I'm just gonna throw this out there. Like our 150 proof hazmat coming out next month from Corbin Cash.
There you go.
It did go in at 125. Yeah, that's a little bit of a different sort of cheap plug. I'm sorry that you had to see
Patreon members, that's coming next month.
But yeah, we're just gonna throw that out there. So yeah, that's a big boy.
Corbin Cash, baby.
Chest.
There you go.
But yeah, so I do like that the playing around with the different proof points and yeah, you're right. Good whiskey is just good whiskey. So.
All right, we'll get all your questions.
Let's jump to. I'm going to pull this up now. We just started sipping on this.
Yeah, so the Rossville Union. There you go. There it is. So tell us about. So this is your rye brand, Ann, and I don't think. Listen, and I can tell you from this is a single barrel pick from JR Bourbon Club from 2022. It says so. I got this for $39.99. By the way, what kind of steal is that? I'm telling you right now. It's the 95.5 rye, 108.2 proof. I think it's a 6-year rye. And listen, 95.5 rye to me is gold. I mean, that to me is, you can't make listen, there's a lot of great ryes out there. I get you. But that to me, and Ann, I think you mentioned that's your favorite as well, right? The 95.5. People ask you, all the mash bills you do, what's your favorite? I think you mentioned that is your favorite as well, correct?
Yeah, all my favorite whiskeys I've ever had are an expression of our 95.5. Yeah, so I just love rye whiskey.
God dang it, I love that.
And yeah, the 95.5, the LQ as we call it is
LQ
my favorite.
So I get on this one. Now this is a single barrel, but I love that. See, I like mint in my ryes as well. I know some people might not, but this has that hint. I love that kiss of mint, that sort of baking spice, the root beer, there's honey. It's just, I love everything about this. This is so good. And it's only 108 proof, but it's got a nice long finish to it.
It is great.
And for $40, so here's my thing, Ann. I think people sleep on Rossville Union, the brand. Like, this is your brand. And I don't know. I just don't feel like it gets enough love as it should.
Well, I don't know if
it's not as well known.
I don't know if it's on every shelf in every store like you see across too. So I think that's part of it too. Like, you have to go out and kind of search it a little bit. But once you've had it, you want to go back and find it. And then I think that's the nice part of it. This is
and good luck. And by the way,
nose,
we have 2 picks coming. We have 2 picks coming from it.
This nose, and this is not. I don't want this to be a deterrent. Like this is. I mean, it almost, you get that mint on the nose, pretty heavy. You almost get this hint of like an Irish Springs. Like, you ever had the Irish Springs soap where you kind of get that kind of, but in that pleasant fragrance.
I'm not sure I'm getting the Irish Springs.
I know it sounds crazy, but with that minty
herbal, I get like herbal quality. Yeah.
That is not a non-good.
I don't know if you remember Jay picking this barrel back in 2022, and probably don't. You've done a lot, but
I love this.
I just wanted to I was hoping we would have some samples from our picks, but it's just not there yet. So I wanted to at least get a bottle of this Rossville just so you guys could see. And has anybody out there had Rossville? If not, don't sleep. It's a great price point. We actually have, and not to go over our picks again, but we do have 2 Remuses that we haven't really talked about, but we do have 2 Rossville Unions coming. One that's at the maybe you can help talk about what the differences here is. But there's a 6-year that's at the 51% rye, so the low rye mash bill. And then we have a 95.5, nearly 10-year that is just amazing. But I thought this was better because Ian gave me and Dan a pour of this, and I'll have this when we end the night. But yeah, I'm super excited about this. So when you talk about the 51% rye, that's just the same thing that Sagamore's doing. They're taking the low rye mash bill, they're taking the high rye and blending them together. We picked 2, and I'm telling you, when you guys buy these 2 single barrels, you will taste the difference between that sort of high rye, low rye mash bill. And of course, the one is nearly a 10-year-old MGP bourbon or rye. So super excited about those. Anything you want to? I mean, you were tasting those ryes we picked. They're quite good.
Yeah, no, the one especially the one that was almost 10 years old, that was a phenomenal barrel. I remember that one pretty distinctively. No, but thanks for bringing it up. That Rossville is, I think, a little underappreciated.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we make the majority of the rye whiskey on the market, and I think, like, if you're a fan of rye whiskey, why aren't you buying it from the people that make the rye whiskey?
I mean, and maybe our
I think
Jack
it's phenomenal stuff. And I don't have the fancy bottle cam like you, but I do want to show
solo him. We got a solo in here. Hold on.
I want to show that the packaging has changed. So if you go into a store and you see that bottle, that is Rossville, but this bottle is also Rossville. We changed up the bottle.
It might be wait till I got the $40.
Maybe that's why. I don't know.
Which I think tastes amazing.
It tastes amazing. The juice is still good. You're right. This is really It does change. Okay.
Same whiskey, just a different package.
So when our picks come out, it'll look like that and not like this, is what you're saying.
Yeah, yours will look
Annie, hold on. Let me
like
put you up here.
This
all right, hold on. Oh, look at that. Hold on. Let me put you up there. So look at that bad boy, guys.
That's cool.
Hell yes. Love it. Love everything about that. Very cool. As Andy gets all right, so we're gonna ask some fun questions. Here, let me real quick get are you ready to?
No, it's fine. Go ahead.
Couple questions that came through for you, and before we get out of here, we have a couple fun questions. What are the top 5 whiskeys or must-have? So we ask this question a lot. If you can't drink and maybe you can't say this, but if you can't drink an MGB or if you can't drink a Rossville Union or a Remus, what are some of your favorite whiskeys that you drink? Make it be MGP, but for other. Do you have anything else you drink or no?
A fair question. You go to a bar and they don't have any MGP products.
How is that possible?
Well, I know it's crazy.
How is that possible?
What are you drinking?
Man, I like what Wild Turkey does. I like so the when I was telling you earlier about the fermentation distillation manager job and how I was kind of in a program with another guy. That other guy is Ross Cornelison, and he went on to he's a master distiller at Barton now.
Okay, yeah,
1792. So I really like what they do. Whenever I'm down in Kentucky, me and Ross always swap special barrels and stuff, samples. Nice. So I really like what he's doing at Barton. I like what Frey Ranch is doing. You see a lot of that out west.
Yeah. We got to get Ann some Corbin Cash. And we got to get your 150 proof single barrel pick we did of an 8-year bourbon from them.
I'll send you my address.
There you go. Perfect.
We got to get you that. We did a rye. It was really good called Rye and Affection.
I don't know.
So that's
me and Andy, by the way.
Awesome. Yeah.
Nelson. I don't know if you did the band Nelson
And
back in
then
the 80s.
everything's got a little 80s scene to it.
That's true.
So we do it. Yeah. So there we go.
And any guess which one of those skulls is me?
Yeah, let's go back.
Can
up
you guess which one is me? Yeah, thanks, Andy. The bald one. Yes, the bald one. The bald skull. That's me.
Yeah, he was difficult to make.
Another question real quick from Anthony Peters before we go into some questions from ourselves for Ann is, what is the lowest barrel entry proof MGP has ever done? Any insights on that? It's a good question.
That is a good question. And I'm actually not sure off the top of my head. So our standard is 120. We typically go in at 120, but we have
gone lower
experiments with entry proof. We've had like specific customer requests with entry proof. So I'm not sure what the lowest would be. Our barrels do typically go down in proof. So like I've seen barrels like 96, 95 proof come out of the barrel, be barrels.
After how many years? After like are we talking
lots of years.
Lots of years. Okay.
These are like,
I bet you that's
like
good as shit.
12, 15 plus.
I bet you that's so good. I bet you that's so good. Another question here from Bourbon or Whiskey Uncensored. Can you talk more about the V yeast and any other semi-common yeast they use?
So the V yeast was developed by Seagram's, and it was the original Seagram's yeast that the other are mutations of too. So, there's a couple former Seagram's distilleries out there that still use the Seagram's yeast strains. So if you're familiar with those, then the V was the original.
Very cool.
And the V, I think it especially works well with rye. Creates a lot of the like mint flavor, like you were talking about.
Yes, this has got all of it.
Sometimes it creates that dill that is a little polarizing, but some people love.
He said he had Mark Emenecker mentioning what you're just saying. He had a Russell pick that was mostly dill. He prefers the mint. So what causes that? Is there anything that causes that dill over the mint on the 95.5 rye?
We have not really been able to identify we haven't come up with a way to express one over the other or both.
Right. Conjugers, Todd.
Conjugers. There you go. And real quick, Devin's having a pour of the Remus 7 from 2023.
Also a very nice pour.
And Mark's also having the Redemption is a Savory Mouth Redemption Rye 10-year 95.5 rye. There you go. All right. So, Andy, do you have any questions?
Yeah, I do. I do have
Let's get to the fun part.
Let's do this
real
because,
quick. We're getting on an hour here. We only have them for a few more minutes.
You guys have been talking, kind of the analytical nerd stuff. We're going to get into some stuff that people want to hear about Ian. So we're going to do that. So
this is the fun part, Ian.
Here we go. First impressions with
Let me
Ian
get rid of this.
Stirsman here.
All right, Ian.
So it's very easy, Ian. All you have to do is I'm going to put a picture up, and you can just kind of give your first impression of what you think. You talk about it, and you tell us what your thoughts are on the actual picture that you see.
Oh boy!
Don't worry, nothing inappropriate is going to come up. I promise.
No.
Okay, so
we're family show.
I'm nervous.
Family show. Ready? All right, first one.
Oh, Greg Metz. He's one of my first mentors.
There you go. We had him on and we loved him. I thought he was a really cool guy.
What a nice guy.
We were really in awe and sort of a bit worried that we would listen, we're home brewers. We started this channel as brewing and we got into whiskey because we like barrel aged beer. That's how we got into whiskey. And we were home brewers and liked beer and started trying barrel aged stouts and beers. And we're like, why do we love those so much? And he's like, well, let's try the whiskey that's imparting all this flavor. And I was dead set against it. And it was a slippery slope. I think I tried Old Granddad 114, about threw up one time because I'd never had whiskey before. But anyway, Greg was such a nice guy. And
what can you tell us about Greg?
Yeah, what can you tell us? Something we wouldn't know about Greg.
Oh, man. I feel like is kind of well known, but he loves Coors Light. That was actually the first thing that came to mind.
He said that. Yes, he said that.
He loves Coors Light.
Yes,
and
yes.
Like one of my first days on the job, he after my shift ended, he took me to the Half Moon Saloon, which is right down the street from the distillery.
Yep.
And he was a good time. We had a lot of fun.
All right.
He's awesome. Greg is the kind of guy you just want to have a beer with.
Yes,
just really
not a Coors Light, but something
I'll have a
else.
Coors Light with him.
I would give me something a little bit. Give me something a little bit more than Coors Light, but that's okay.
So let's all right. Now, how do
Next one,
I
Andy.
get them all together again? I lost it. Hold on. Here we go. I can
Put it back
do
up.
this. There we go.
There you go.
All right, next one.
Oh no! Oh no! Oh no! Oh no!
That's just painful misery.
Oh no, Andy! I can't believe you did that.
What? I said first impression.
That's so new and
Is
raw.
that too? Is the wound still too
the
fresh?
wound's too fresh.
I've been a Bengals fan since I was like 5 years old.
Oh, no.
I'm used to it.
Oh no! I'm so
Here's
sorry.
the funny thing is, it was because I was talking about this with a buddy of mine today. For those of you who don't know, this is the kick that was missed because the placeholder
in overtime.
In overtime, he botched the snap and he didn't put the kick, because otherwise this game is probably over, right? And we were even talking about that with Justin Tucker's missed a few, and then we said, what, the chemistry's not there. He had Sam Cook for such a long time. Like sometimes that chemistry's not there, but.
All right, this is painful for Ian.
I'm sorry, Ian, but how long have you been a Bengals fan? Forever?
Since he was all his life.
From before I can remember. There was
so you were doing
like
a shuffle
picture of me at like 4 years old, dressed up like Boomer Esiason for Halloween.
Yes.
So
Maryland grad, by the way.
So this is not new to you. That's fine.
It's all his life. It's all he's known is this.
Yeah.
We have the Orioles and you have the Bengals.
Well, at least we won a champ. We won the World Series. We've won like 3 World Series with the Orioles.
Yeah,
once in our lifetime.
The Bengals haven't won.
Never,
ever have they?
Never.
They never. No. All right, I'll give her this. Nope. My apologies, Ian.
Yeah,
that was inappropriate of me. Let's see what's next. Okay.
Oh,
don't say anything, Todd. Tell us about this.
I don't even know what this is.
This is when you were. This is when you were a professional ball player for the Baltimore Orioles.
You look just like Brian Roberts.
This is Brian Roberts for the Baltimore Orioles.
You look just like him.
And there we go. We've got the side by side of your other career when you played for the Baltimore Orioles. Okay. Brian Roberts.
Brian Roberts.
By the way, all the girls love Brian Roberts. So it's okay. So that's again, that's a compliment too.
Done,
so there we go. So
Brian Roberts. I didn't know you were a baseball player, Ian.
So
didn't know you played for the Orioles. That's great.
He's probably, this game sucks.
No, that's great. I love this. This is getting great. Next one.
Let's see what I have next. All right.
Oh, wine.
Very, very weird colored wine.
Well, that is a weird colored wine, but thoughts on wine in general. Are you a wine guy? Not a wine guy.
Scoochie.
I like wine, but I'm not a wine guy.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. Andy is. Andy's a big wine guy.
I like it, but I'm not really into it. I've been to like some cool winery experiences. And like I'll never order a glass of wine, but if like they get a bottle for the table, I'll enjoy a glass of wine.
There you go.
All right. Okay. Good answer.
See, I like that answer. I like it.
All right.
Oh,
it's Cincinnati.
It's home. There you go. Home.
So are you an outdoors guy, Cincinnati guy, boating guy? Tell us a little bit about,
I know you're a boating guy.
About Cincy.
Yeah, I do like the outdoors. I love that river that is being shown right now. Me and my wife do a lot of boating on the river,
right?
Yep, yeah, the Ohio River. It's got a bad rap, but a lot of people are like, "You swim in the Ohio River?
Your Instagram. I see your Instagram.
It's really not that bad."
Oh, dude, I want to be wakeboarding behind your boat like that. That looks like the best. I'm so jealous. I couldn't probably wakeboard, but I'd like to be on the boat to see that.
I'd like to see you on the boat.
I'm just saying.
It
looks so much fun, and dude, that looks so. I love your Instagram and seeing that. It looks so much fun. So,
that's a bit of a stalker, but that's
listen. We're friends. We've met. We drank whiskey together. We've met once.
By the way, I have to ask you as a Bengals fan.
Oh no.
Who do you hate more, Pittsburgh or Baltimore?
Oh, it's got to be Pittsburgh, right?
Oh, Pittsburgh by a long time.
Yeah, we all hate Pittsburgh.
All right,
However, it's fun. Have you ever been to Pittsburgh and like gone to a game? It's really a good time, by the way.
I never have. No.
Do you go to a lot of Bengals games or no?
So no. I actually
is it because it's hard to get seats? I'm sorry, that's not nice.
No.
It actually is right now.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know about right now, but so we actually ride our bikes. We ride our bikes down to the stadium and tailgate with some friends.
That's you. And don't go to the game.
but then we don't go to the game. We
That's
ride
you.
our bikes
That's
back
what he
to our
does.
neighborhood and watch it at a bar in our neighborhood.
That's what he does.
That's me. You know
That's
what?
what he does.
The lines, the bathroom are small, shorter, and the beer is colder, right on
And
tap,
and cheaper.
And I'm not paying. Sorry, Greg Mess, but not paying $12 for a Coors Light. Yeah, that's fine by me.
Yeah.
I'm good.
Oh man! All right, there you
All
go.
right, so home Cincinnati. We want to give you a little.
Any
bit of home.
more?
Oh yeah, just a couple more.
Oh no! Oh God! Oh, of course.
Okay.
Do you know who that is?
I'm trying
He's
to
a
figure
recent.
that out.
He just started quarterback for the Colts.
He is the greatest athlete
Oh,
that's
no.
now played for the Indianapolis Colts.
Is that
but
Flacco?
also,
That's Flacco. That's Flacco. You could have done a better picture than that, Andy. Jeez.
well, I
Louise.
had to do a recent one. I tried it because the Indiana tie with him, with the Ross and Squibb
All
in
right,
Indiana.
give
the
some
best-
context here, Andy.
Okay, so context is that it's common knowledge that Joe is the greatest player
It is
of
not.
all time.
It is not. It is not.
And so earlier we were talking about the Bengals being 1-4 and virtually out of
they're not
the
though.
playoffs, but they're not, because if they were to call for Joe Flacco tomorrow and trade for him,
I'm sure they do that over Joe Burrow.
there's Joe Burrow. He's good, but he's not the best.
He
Joe.
has frosted tips.
The frosted tips are bad.
That's bad.
Yeah,
it's not
he probably
good.
should. See, Joe does not have frosted
No.
tips. He has gray beard.
Let me
He's
ask
good.
you, Ian, all seriousness, what do you think of Joe Flacco? So he played for the Ravens for a long time, won a Super Bowl MVP,
Play for the Browns, another team you hate.
played for the Browns.
So
What's your thoughts on Joe Flacco as a quarterback? Be honest.
I mean, from a Bengals fan perspective,
Yeah,
like he never scared me like Lamar Jackson does. Like he was
There you
just
go.
kind of like there on a good team
Good
with a
team.
good defense.
Yep. That's exactly right.
But it was
exact
pretty.
answer.
It was pretty impressive when he came out of retirement and did well in Cleveland. So that was pretty impressive.
let's be honest, he's actually gotten better since he was with
No,
us.
so let's be honest.
7 straight games with over 300 yards and 2 touchdowns.
That is
pretty
crazy.
impressive.
That is crazy.
For
I don't
a
know what he's doing.
39, almost 40-year-old man.
Andy is the biggest Joe Flacco fan you will ever talk to, Ian. So that's
Yes.
why this is in here.
Yeah, he's the go to being the lead.
There you go.
So
Any
we'll
more?
just one more.
One more. All right, one more. Oh, this is good. First initial thoughts.
I don't have a lot of thoughts on Def Leppard.
Oh no! Oh no!
Well, Ian, thanks for being here. It's been good having
Andy's
you.
gonna kick you off. Andy's gonna kick you off.
He didn't really like Joe Flacco, and now that's us. So he went from one of my favorite guests of all time to now.
Oh, so that being said, then what? So your musical. Go ahead, Ian.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Like, what does 21090 mean? Is it something to do with Def Leppard?
So here's the fun thing. We had what's the guy the dancing goat? What was his name? Nick Mass, who I don't know if you know.
Nick.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
So he was on our show and he saw our logo. He thought it was Stendo. He thought we were like a Stendo, ST. So obviously we're taking the Def Leppard font because we're huge Def Leppard fans. 21090 is our zip code, 21090. We spell out 10.
We're not real smart.
We're not real smart. And listen, we started 21090 brewing when we were home brewers. That's how this started. And we're like, we're gonna brew beer. We're gonna, you know how that goes, right? We're gonna be awesome. We're gonna have our own. That didn't happen. But we like brewing. I still brew beer, but 21090 is our zip code. We both live in Linthicum, Maryland, and that's our zip code.
However, the correct response we were looking for was greatest band of this and or any generation.
Can you
Ian did not get
name
that right.
Can you name any song from Def Leppard?
He's got it.
Oh no! Oh no!
So clearly we know. So he's not
no.
a rock fan.
He's
so
not
this
a rock
is our
fan.
next question.
Yes.
Like, I can barely name songs from bands that I would say I like, though. Like,
So
I just don't.
That's our next question. What type of music are you into? If you could take 1 or 2 albums with you, that's all you could listen to. What are the 2 albums or what are the 2 bands you're taking with you?
Oh man. You guys will probably hate me.
No, we don't.
I'm
we
like
all
not.
music.
I like all genres of music.
Okay.
I've never
apparently
been.
not all genres. Ian.
I've
Apparently
never
not Def
been
Leppard.
like super into. Like I've never like known a lot about music. But like growing up, like when I was real little, like I liked Green Day a lot.
Looking like a tramp, like a video vamp.
I like Smashing Pumpkins.
All right. So, all right. Well,
I don't know. I
do.
The closest thing to like the glam band was probably I was a Guns N' Roses fan growing up.
Yes.
But then I listened to like a lot of like stuff my dad's music.
Oh God,
like Leonard Skinner and stuff.
That's me with hair. That's oh God, Andy, get that off.
What? I'm just showing the Guns N' Roses picture.
That's not Guns. That's me with Axl Rose's hair, or me, my face on a God.
But then I don't know. I got a little older. I liked like 90s.
All right, so if you're on the boat,
like Outkast and Wu-Tang.
All right, you're on the boat. You're on the boat. You're on the Ohio River. You're having a good time. What's playing on the boat? What do we have on the boat? What music is on?
So up until this year, it was probably a lot of 90s hip hop and R&B. This year, my wife is a big country music fan. I've always kind of had a disdain for country music for the most part. But it's rubbed off on me a little bit. We do play quite a bit of country on the boat as well.
Nice. Love it.
Just like popular stuff like Zach Bryan and Tyler Childers kind of thing.
Oh,
all right,
there
that's
you go.
cool. See, I pegged Ian. I said Ian's either gonna love rock and roll or he's gonna be an R&B guy. That's what I said. Those are the two genres I thought.
GNR, nice and
GNR.
look, yep. JG says in sync. In sync.
Todd, you like a little R&B?
I do.
Yeah.
What?
Because my milkshake brings all the boys to the yard. They're like, it's better than yours, damn right. It's better than yours.
There you go. I think I nailed that.
I think you did too.
I think I nailed that. I nailed it. All right. Last thing we got to let Ian go soon here. I want to crack open. This is from our barrel picks we did with Shared Pour. So me and Dusty Dan. This was we did not pick. Well, Dan and I both liked for the 95.5 rye that we picked. That's almost 10 years, which is fantastic. It's glorious. We preferred this sample, correct? Was this also high age statement? I don't even remember. Was it the similar age statement or no?
Similar, yes, yeah. It was actually same batch.
Oh, so there you go. So we preferred this. We got outvoted by Andy and the rest of the group.
It was a large group. It wasn't just Andy.
Yeah, well, yeah. The rest of the Madison Journey, Miss Bourbon Night, Bourbon of the Week, Stuff and Whiskey. But me and Dan loved this one. We were the only ones. And you were so kind to give us a sample. I wanted to wait till we had it on here. I don't know if you know anything about this. It's probably sold and gone now. Hell, it might be in some other.
No, it's not. It's not.
Oh. Is there a way that we can do a 21090 pick of this?
Well, I think it might be spoken for.
Oh, damn it. So no. All right. So we're drinking.
So if I remember correctly, this is barrel 12.
Look at that.
Which was very similar to the 9-year-old or 10-year-old.
Oh my God, it's so good
that you guys picked. But if I remember correctly, this one it was more minty than
yes, it is
that one.
Oh my God.
And I actually think that the guys at the distillery might pick that one for themselves.
Damn it. God damn it.
I'm amazed though that when he just pulled out all those stats of the 58,000 barrels that you've probably gone through. You knew
barrel
exactly
12.
That's pretty cool. That just shows you just how
it is so good.
All right, let me get those.
It is so good. But that doesn't take anything away from the pick we did.
Do you want to show Ian how you do your 60-second reviews?
No, we're not doing that right now.
If the crowd wants it.
I do want to show Ann my Marzen though. So as you drink this, and I just tapped my Marzen as we end the show. You don't. I assume you don't homebrew anymore. You don't do that. You don't need to do it. I get it. I brewed a beer in early August. It's been, as you know, have you ever brewed a lager? Lagers are a pain in my ass.
I have never done a lager.
So I use my kegerator as my fermentation chamber because, as you know, lagers have to be fermented at a lower proof. And then you have to raise it to get diacetyl rests to get up the butterscotch. And then you have to lower it slowly. It takes forever. I hate it. I do it once a year because my wife likes Martins. So I came up with this and actually won 3rd place in homebrew competition, by the way, just saying. I think that's pretty cool. There
was only 3 people.
That's not true at all. That's not true at all. I'm going to go get it. Andy, what do you think about tonight? It's been fantastic.
I think you've dropped more big words tonight than you ever have before. I am going to go on record as saying Todd studied his thesaurus before you came on, Ian, just to ensure that he had the vocabulary and proper vernacular.
Yeah, I like the diacetyl rest.
Diacetyl rest. I've never heard him say that before in his life. He looked it up. He usually says things like wax poetic. What's the other one? Big one you use? Druthers. You like to say druthers. He does say that. He's got old man vocabulary. But actually, yeah, we did used to brew a lot, and
I still brew, Andy.
You brew one beer a year. I have a great beer called Pour Some Pumpkin on Me that is a pumpkin ale, but unfortunately, you don't like Def Leppard, so you wouldn't know that one. That's okay.
Right there. Hold on.
Let's see. Put it up there for people to see. Tom.
Hold on. Well, go ahead. Bring up the.
So everyone can be impressed by Todd's beer.
There it is. There it is.
Try it.
All right. So there it is. Take it off that.
Hold on. Just give me a second there, Beavis. Hold on.
So a good Martin, good Martin is very malt forward, sweet. This is 6.2%. Look at that, Bet. You tried, Andy.
Relax. Let me tell you if it's any good or not.
It's good. It's sweet. It's a very sweet beer. That's why my wife likes it. 0 hops hardly. I use Haltar, and I do a little bit of Amarillo at the very end of the boil, just to get a little bit of citrus in it because I like that crisp citrus.
What?
What do you do?
It's delicious.
Shut up, Andrew. It's fantastic. So here's my homebrew. And back to the old days when I used to homebrew, I still do it once or twice a year. So there it is.
Jake said there was only one entry and you still took there.
That's awesome. I've been getting kind of back into that style of beer recently.
Yeah, right? So good.
I've been getting back into just a lot of like German beers recently.
Yes, agreed.
We have to, we send him a loose cannon, German hops with an IPA. Just because if you like IPAs with German malts,
it's a West Coast IPA. Andy.
No. They use all German hops.
No,
I'm sorry, German malts.
Do not.
They use all German malts. So it's German malts, but they use American hops. It's
not
really
all German malts. They use Turo in it.
They use German malts. I'll show you the match.
He's wrong, Ann.
I'm not wrong. I'll look it up right now.
They don't use all German malts in loose cannon.
German malts.
They use the base malt as Turo.
You're Turo. Let me just look
Jeez Louise. Anyway, don't look it up. You look stupid.
No, I'm going to look it up and make it up.
Oh, okay, there you go. All right, well, we can't thank you enough. Hopefully, did we miss any? Christopher Sneed. Oh, you missed Ian Stirsman from Christopher Sneed works at Sagamore. So you missed Ian Stirsman, the Master Distiller of MGP. And yes, it does look. There you go. So I'll see if I could bottle it. I'd send you them, but bottling is a pain in the ass. I have a kegerator. It's hooked up to CO2, and I just pour it out, and that's the way I drink it. So. Next week, we have Matt from Luxro on. So we'll be talking about all the things we did there in July. And thank you for everything, for having us out there, for letting us do those barrel picks with Jay and coming on. If there's ever a chance we can have you on again, we'd love to.
Yep.
And maybe we can do just a 21090 pick of a Rossville or a Remus. These Rossville are so good. Remus is good too, but I'm a rye guy, so that's just me.
And we'll send you out. We'll send you samples of some of our barrel picks if you'd like to have them. The 150 Corbin. Have you ever had? You even know who Corbin Cash is? Probably not. I've never heard of Corbin.
I have heard of them. I have never had it though.
All right. Well, we'll send you a pic of our rye and the bourbon,
as well as a Joe Flacco shirt. We can send out to you.
All right.
And the Def Leppard Hysteria album. It's probably their best one. So you can spin that on the boat. Trust me, people will be happy if you do that.
So I wouldn't wear a Ravens shirt, but one of my favorite jerseys I've ever seen was a Ravens jersey. When I was in school, there was a guy that used to walk around on Sundays all the time in
Ray Lewis?
Jim Brown Ravens jersey,
and
it infuriated the Cleveland fans so much that I just loved it.
You know why that is? Because Art Modell was very good friends with Jim Brown. He came over. He still came and was very good friends with Art when he moved the team.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
You guys are the Cleveland Browns.
Oh, God, don't say that.
Well, I can send you a Flacco Browns jersey too if you'd like, Ian.
That's even
you
worse.
pick. You can have the Browns, the Ravens, or the Colts, and I'll send it to you. You'll be fine. You'll be in good shape.
And then Andy, when we're in Cincinnati, I think we can go on Ann's boat now. I think it's an
anytime.
invitation. and come on out.
He also invites himself to these things.
I
Just
mean,
be careful. It's just,
You have to bring some of your Marzen though that you bear.
there you go. Deal. I don't know if
you can't. You just said tell everybody.
I'll figure out. I'll figure out a way to bottle it, or put it. I'll figure it out. We'll figure it out. There it is.
You'll rest on your druthers.
That's right.
Won't you there?
All right, guys. And thank you so much. Next week, Matt from Lux Row. It'll be fun time talking about that whole day we did there. Again, aligned very closely with Ross and Squibb. And yeah, it's good. And we'll have Penelope, Matt, and Dan. They'll be coming on in December. So all good stuff from the MGP brands. And let's see. And I'll email you if the Bengals actually do make a playoff push. We'll figure something out. We'll see how it happens, right?
I'm not hopeful.
Trade for Joe Flacco, and I think it's possible. So we'll see what happens.
All right, guys. We'll see you next Tuesday.
Ian, thanks, brother.
Thank you,
we
brother.
appreciate you, guys. We'll see you all next week.
All right, Todd, Andy, thank you so much.
Cheers, brother. We'll see you.
We're never getting through this.
Wasn't ready for that.
Get yourself in check here. What's wrong with you?
Fine. I also didn't have dinner.
Oh, you have dinner?
There's nothing in my stomach.
Oh my God. We drank 8 whiskeys.
I felt drunk after the first beer.
Oh my God. Jeez.
Is that center?
And barrel of beer. I don't even know at this point, Andy. We haven't gotten to that point. Come on, dude. Let's go. Finish this. This is important. Well, maybe it's not.
Do a silica?
You do. You do. But let's go.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Where are we starting from?
Welcome back to 2TEN90's.
Welcome back to 2TEN90's.
Yes.
I'm Andy, you're Todd.
Yes. Okay. And just go into it. Let's review FAO2.
Let's just do it.
Don't worry about 01. Say we
worry
love
about it.
01. Say the difference.
I'm not worried about 01.
So drunk.
That was so springtime.
Fuck. What are we going to do? We've reached our limit, ladies and gentlemen.
I don't know if this is a good idea at this point.
We got one more to do. Come on, sit.
Okay, hold on.
Come on.
I'm trying.
There's a lot of whiskey over here.
This is too much.